You got to see this. America entered into a new time of freedom. The Lord showed me in this prophetic dream I'm going to share with you how America's like on a ship and we were held, oppression was over America, but God released that and it's time for you to be free. Check it out. But understand, God is just moving so rapidly, so fast. It's like a bulldozer. The Lord told me specifically that, Washington, D.C. is a house of cards. The Lord told Brett Holderbaum, a prophetic minister, he told specifically that, a wind is going to be coming through destroying all those, not monuments like you're talking about, but those things that strongholds that men have set up, yeah. And those political ties. You're watching them literally fall apart. I mean, you're looking like the grown-up showed up, and it's like, you're treating that grown man like that. Y'all need to straighten up. That man's running $1 billion company. My That's goodness, right. And he's here to help us out. And so, we're looking at this answered prayer. I mean, it's amazing how God is doing that. And the one thing the Lord showed me October 21st of 2016, as he's preparing us for the season where we're in, he literally put America almost like on a ship. It was a nice ship. It wasn't like a rickety ship. It was like a cruise type ship, but the whole ship was under oppression. Everybody was under oppression. They were totally under control. And of course, everybody was oppressed because they were oppressed, mentally and all that kind of stuff. And then the Lord showed me, he says, as soon as the previous administration is finished, which would be President Barack Obama's administration, then all of a sudden, everybody's free in America. You're free again. And of course, that was in October. I'm like, yeah, that's going to be nice. And exactly, we're seeing that freedom come. The freedom's coming. You got to start moving in this freedom fast. This is what we prophesied about. Are we Jeremiah? Are we Josiah? Are we Daniel? And God has made this a Josiah moment. I mean, this is a Josiah moment. Things are still moving, they're still going, but we got to do something when God has called us to do this. And what he showed me was that when everybody was free to get off that ship, most people stayed in it.
Wow.
Because all they knew was that, when the Emancipation Proclamation was signed by President Lincoln, and people were free, the slaves were free in America, which was an amazing moment, that a lot of people just stayed on the plantation because it's 2 or 3 generations, that's all that you knew. But freedom, this is what they didn't understand in this dream that God was showing me. I'm not talking about the slaves historically, I'm talking about what he showed me now, you, me, all of us, was that they didn't know it takes participation. That to have freedom, it's going to take effort.
Yeah.
You have to get educated. That's why what we do on VFN TV to keep you informed in government, education, and media, and all these different areas that we're talking about, business all the time, because we got to have a biblical perspective of that. But it was so cool to watch everybody. And I'm cool. It was just, I'm passing these cabana things, and I'm excited, but I noticed the majority of people stayed on the boat.
Well, we're shifting into a new season.
The USS Socialism boat. I don't know what it was.
Wow. We're shifting into a new season.
Yes.
And if you're trying to get, you're going to miss this new season of what God's doing if you're stuck in last season's mindsets. And so in order to participate, you have to be able to understand, hey, I've got to shift. I've got to be willing to move where the cloud is moving, where God's taking us, where our country is moving into this next, few years and hopefully for a long period of time.
Yeah, mercy is an amazing thing, that, being in law enforcement, my history, watching court cases go down, and you're standing before a judge, and the jury saying you're guilty, the prosecutor saying you're guilty, the community says you're guilty, God says you're guilty, but all of a sudden the judge decides to give you mercy. It's not because you're not guilty, it's because the judge is good.
That's right.
And mercy is where, it's true, all that stuff's true, but you're not going to suffer for it. I'm going to give you mercy. You deserve death. You deserved destruction. America deserves judgment. But even though we were on the precipice, and we'll talk more about our next program, but we were on the edge. If you don't, maybe you know this already, but a lot of people they don't even have a clue that we were like, judgment was on our doorstep. And then God just shifted it. He said, I'm going to give mercy. And it makes me think about, I don't have my book here. I thought I brought it with me. But Dutch Sheets' book, The Way Back. And with that, you got to get that book. We'll talk more about it in our next program. I'll have it then. But Six times God spoke mercy. Two separate people of his friends, two separate friends of his, in two separate locations. He says, saw an angel appear, a messenger appear, and both of them said mercy over America 6 times each. I mean, this is just mercy, but it's mercy. We need to run out of the courtroom, thank God for it, and begin to live our life differently and begin to celebrate that. And it's an amazing thing. We get back from the break. I want to show you that book from Dutch Sheets. Hopefully I have that with me. I found the book.
There it is.
The break. I'm excited. It's a man's book. I mean, what is it, like
how many pages is it?
80 pages, and that includes
okay, we can handle it.
We can handle that book.
There you go.
So, but every single word of this book, it's called The Way Back by Dutch Sheets. You can get it at dutchsheets.org, and it's refreshing to me in so many different ways. But one is that it's the truth. It's like, okay, God has given us mercy, and if you were standing in that courtroom, as I was talking about before the break, and all the stuff was deserving to come to you, the judge expects you to walk out of the courtroom and don't murder anymore. He expects you to change, and so there's work to be done. And so Dutch talks about this. He talks specifically about this in his book, about you're going to have to be a trailblazer. Listen, if what we were doing, think about this, if what we were doing delivered us, we wouldn't have had that problem that we just had, that God had to show us mercy in. It means we're going to have to do something totally different. We got to be trailblazers. And most people like going where there's a path already. If you'll notice that, if you're going through the woods or something, for some reason, people go where other people have been before. They look for the little dirt trail, and they just kind of go that pathway. But you have to understand, if that's the way that people have been going, and it's brought destruction, and it's brought judgment, and it's brought abortion, and it's brought, our borders flooding, it's brought this persecution across the world. We have a president right now that's standing up, President Trump saying, listen, we have to stop the persecution of people. We have to stop the persecution of the church. They're cutting heads off. Thank God our leader sees it. Where the previous president played golf, this president says we have to respond.
Unacceptable.
It's totally unacceptable. And these are wonderful days. So he talks about, we got to be trailblazers. We got to be
pioneering spirit.
A pioneering spirit. And the forward basically is the lyrics to Pioneering Spirit by
Rick Pino.
Rick Pino. So I encourage you to get it. You have the details on our website as well, on the VFN Torch. So it's powerful. It'll encourage you, and it'll show you that you can be a part of making a difference. One thing that with us, God has been preparing us for quite some time for this day. We weren't prophesying so that it would just end. Our desire was that we would turn in abortion, sin revival, send a third great awakening, and that takes us turning towards God and lining our hearts up with Him. Thank you for watching VFN TV. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up. Also, if you want to see more videos like this, subscribe. A lot of people want to abide with the Lord, but they just don't have a plan to do it. You can request that plan today at iabide.org. Don't forget you can join us 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Download our app and sign up for our newsletter, The Torch, at vfntv.com.